Welcome to the Cinema Slime Void, where we're legally obligated to warn you that this podcast contains extreme nerd behavior, aggressive over-analysis, and observe how film haunts our questionable life choices. I'm Ren, one of your hosts, and as always, I'm joined by my brother-in-law, Scott.
Yeah,
And my brother, Harrison.
The British don't have a monopoly on snobbery, you know?
more like a controlling interest.
Yes.
Every movie we cover is from a curated list and randomly picked based on our monthly theme, except this month, as this is the last and final film for the month of May, which was Scott's Picks. Once we're done with this banger, we'll be randomly selecting June's films, falling into my random selected category, Forgive Me Lord, for I have synthed. Basically movies that own a heavy synth vibe, fuzzy psychedelic moog, synthesizer feels, dark 80s noir, that type of stuff. And just a reminder, if you're looking to jump straight to the discussion, you can use the chapters in your podcast app to skip to the main event. Today, we're heading forward or backwards to revisit Christopher Nolan's 2020 film, Tenet.
The obligatory nonsense temporal nerd phrases.
Exactly. Before we get going, I just wanted to announce and express a word of gratitude to you, Scott, for launching the Cinema Slime website. It's up.
It just took me a year.
Yeah, it looks freaking awesome. And again, thanks. I don't know how the heck I just woke up one morning. You're like, hey, the website's up. That was awesome.
That's just Scott for you, you know? He just pours all his heart and soul into something and doesn't tell you about it.
Yeah, and I was on there earlier, and I was thinking, I was like, okay, we can have our merch, our shop in here. We could do blog. We're gonna add some more stuff in the future. But also, you can listen to all of our episodes on there as well. If for some reason you got beef with Spotify or YouTube or whatever, you can go outside of all that and just listen to it on our website. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Pure RSS goodness.
Yes.
I want to do a shout out related to the website. I was scrolling through there, and Scott, you mentioned this, but one of the great things about it is you can see all of our episodes, and you can see the great artwork that Ren has been putting together for the show for all the cover arts.
Oh,
and
thanks, man.
I was going through them, and I picked out a handful that I just want to be like, hey, this is incredible. Just go look at this, the cover art for the episode. The Northmen, Tremors, Batman Returns, Secrets of Nim, 1917, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which I think is one of my favorites. It's the Ooze label, which I thought was great. American Werewolf in London. I'd wear a t-shirt with that on it.
Yeah,
for sure.
straight up.
M, I would also wear a t-shirt with that on it. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Perfect Blue, Point Break, and A Quiet Place, which isn't up yet, but not this week, but the week after. And that cover art is amazing. So I just want to say shout out and thank you to Ren for taking care of all that for us.
Thanks.
The nice thing is that in true Tenet fashion, by the time people hear this, it will be out.
That's a really good point. Now that you say that, I'm just trying to stick with the theme here, you know.
Yeah, I love doing the art, and I gotta say, whenever we get to week 3 or 4, I'm like, I really want to know what movie posters I'm gonna cinema slime up, and I don't know what the heck movies we're gonna watch. So that's why it's extra exciting, selfishly for me. But yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for it.
It's
the psychedelic indie grunge vibe of all the labels all just tacked up right next to each other in this giant billboard. I was like, if my film collection actually looked like this, man, that would be so sick.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty sick.
So yeah, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the work we did for a year.
Yeah.
Well, look at us
too.
just patting everyone on the backs. We're just amazing, guys. Go us.
Yeah, we are.
I love you guys.
Oh.
Question mark.
I want to talk about something that happened to me this week, and this is actually something that's happened on our show before, and it's one of my favorite things about our show. Now that when this happened to me, so I'm at work, I'm chatting with Cameron, and we're talking about Gattaca, and because he watched it along with us, and I'm sharing my thoughts about it, and we had a discussion on the Gattaca episode about the murder of the space director and like who did it and what my feelings were about it. And I told Cam and I said, I was watching the film and I really thought Ethan Hawke's character was the one that killed him, and I kind of explained my reason why I thought that would be a good move. And Cameron goes, well, why did you think Ethan Hawke's character killed the space director? And I said, well, because he's an invalid. And I went, oh my gosh, is that part of the message? Am I a terrible person? Was it like, I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Did the movie like direct me to thinking that? Or am I just a terrible person? Because I assumed like, well, he's an invalid, so duh, he would kill someone. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that the message of the movie too? Like we shouldn't, put stereotypes on people.
We shouldn't be profiling.
Yeah, profiling. Thank you. Yeah, no, I was like, wow, I just profiled him and I didn't even like realize it. Wow.
What's even better is that he's not actually an invalid because it's not real.
It's true. It's true. But
It's
yeah,
even better.
it was just a moment of like, whoa, like my brain just exploded for just a second there. And yeah, I don't know. I like thinking about the movies even after we're done with the podcast, because there's some movies that we kind of do it, we record it, and I'm like, no, satisfied. Feel like I got all my feelings out, and I don't really need to think about it more. But Gattaca is one that's really stuck with me quite a bit. So look what you've done to me, Scott. Aren't you proud?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of comments on TikTok, on our TikTok account, about Gattaca, and I've had like 3 or 4 people be like, "This is in like my top 5 movies of all time," and then I'm getting a lot of hate because on one of the shorts that we posted, basically like one of us was kind of like pinpoint the actor from Monk. What's his name? I'm trying to look it up as we're talking.
Tony Shalhoub. Well, you got to get this right, or they're gonna get mad at you, man.
Dude, I've had like, there's been like 4 or 5 people like, how do you not know who Tony Shalhoub is? He's literally one of the greatest actors of all time. I'm like, is that true? Like, is that really true? Like the guy from Monk and the guy who gets shot in the face in Men in Black, like, and to like I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I'm like, would I really just be like typing this out and like mad that someone doesn't know who Tony Shalhoub is? I just find it funny. So
I think one of the funniest things about this show is that we rail on our fans.
It's the best way to do it. Well, the thing is this,
it's
like,
just so angry. No need to be angry.
there's some things in life, like for example, starting a movie podcast, or for example, I have an X-Men YouTube channel, and when you get into comics or like fandoms, things like that, especially when it involves nerds, it's like when you go into it, it's like, you're gonna get hate. You're gonna get comments like that, and you just gotta let it roll off your back and just be like, that's a great opinion you have, and you move on.
That is the strongest opinion you've shared with me today. What can one say but Solieri?
Scott, I imagine you end all of your sentences with that line. Just so you know.
Yeah, I do.
That's a mic drop like line just to end anything.
There it is.
I want there it is. I want to read just line for line what one of these comments says after he watched one of our clips. He goes, in quotes, "That actor from Monk, yeah, okay, bye bye." So yeah, I guess we're not.
Is he claiming he wasn't in Monk?
No, he's claiming that since we don't know who he is, that he's not a fan of our show.
But he is that actor from Monk.
I know. That's what's hilarious about all this. It's like he wasn't on a first name basis with us, Scott. That's why.
Should be more friends with Tony Shalhoub more often.
Tony Shalhoub lovers.
Love that. Love the guy.
Hey, Tony. Can you stop bugging me? I'm in the middle of recording a podcast. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I gotta go. Bye. Sorry.
See you,
Tony was calling me.
Yeah.
Good old Tony.
You know that actor from Monk.
He's so annoying.
I will say this. Okay, so I just went on IMDb. Here's the top like 5 movies he's known for. See, Monk, The Man Who Wasn't There, which I've never heard of, but it has a 7.5, which is pretty good for IMDb. Men in Black, Galaxy Quest, and then a movie called American Classic. Those are like his top movies that people know him for.
So Monk is number 1.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
I just feel like the response to us not like knowing him on a first name basis is like like he's not Harrison Ford or something. I just thought it was just funny. Just like,
I-
am I out of the loop? Like he's in Galaxy Quest.
I'm gonna counter though. I will say this: like, look, he is the actor from Monk. He's also in a TV show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is a really awesome TV show. He plays the dad in it, and he is an absolute delight in that movie.
Yeah.
So, or in
Yeah.
that TV show. So, I'll say this: like, if you want more Tony Shalhoub, go watch that one.
And I will say, we're ragging on Tony and our fandom here, but at the same time, hey fans, keep sending us the hate. It's a lot of fun. And Tony, I love you. Stop calling me in the middle of the night. And you are a delight. Keep it up.
He is a delight.
Good old Tony.
Good old Tony.
Good old Tony. I just wanted to share something that I feel really good about before we got on the podcast. Through our detailing company, we have this vacuum extractor, and I hooked up the hot water and I extracted all the carpet in our front room downstairs.
Yeah.
Dude, it looks like fresh, crispy white carpet for the first time in a long time, and I feel so freaking good about it, dude.
Dude, Red, you're
Just
so
satisfying.
Awesome.
It's just so
Red-
satisfying.
Awesome, dude.
I'm glad that I've known you as long as I have. Pre-married Ren to now you're like the ultimate dad Ren. Do you wear New Balance shoes
No.
with Velcro?
He'll get there.
You'll get
Man,
there.
I don't
Not a
want
dad
to.
yet.
The
One
one
day.
Do you
thing
birdwatch?
bird watching
I
is
mean-
kind of not fun, but it's interesting.
I mean, I did it a few days ago. I was
There you go.
commenting in our backyard, there's like 50 different types of birds when you actually just sit down and listen. So yeah, I'm a bird watcher now.
Scott, I want you to slap me if I ever get a Velcro wallet, okay? Just please. That's the one thing I don't want to be.
I just skipped right over Velcro wallet and went straight to purse.
Yes.
Also because of Ren.
That's true.
Man purse.
Man,
Yeah, sure. I have no pride. It's fine. I can have a purse. It's 2026, guys.
Yeah.
And we live in Oregon.
Yeah. It's just the way it is.
I don't have a man bun though.
Yet.
So
Yet.
far. True.
Hey,
So far.
actually, I wanted to ask you, Scott. You and Paige went and did like a presentation at the Beaverton Library yesterday. How'd that go?
Yeah, Ren, how'd it go?
I thought it was awesome, man. I thought it was really. I was like worried that we'd be the only people there, just
Me
because I've
too.
never been to anything like that. And we showed up. There's probably 15 people in that little room. But yeah, it gave you guys 15 minutes to kind of talk about your book. We asked a question. Some other people asked about the artwork, and like, it's just a cool vibe and atmosphere of just all these other authors and a safe space. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun. I've only done 2 events now. I went up to Seattle last week, and then this week I did the thing, and then I'm talking at the Portland Bitcoin conference this week. So I'm like suddenly doing panels and talks and booths and
Yeah.
stuff like that for the first time in my life. I will say I've done booths for like selling random things like, I don't know, like pest control or air conditioners and stuff like that at conferences or on show floors before, and I've hated it.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about your own books and it's like, oh yeah, I've sunk thousands of hours into this world and this, and I genuinely love it, and people are obligated to come talk to you about the thing that you love, it's like, hey, let's geek out together for 2 minutes before you walk away. And you immediately know whether they want your book or not, and it's like absolutely no pressure. It's just like, hey, this is the thing we wrote, and you're a cool person. Hey, you don't want to buy it? You want to listen to the podcast audiobook for free? And they're like, oh yeah, dude, like, yeah, take this bookmark. My brother drew that. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's nice selling something you actually care about rather than stuff you
Totally.
just don't give a shit. I worked at Hallmark just for a little while when I was a teenager, and they like hand you something like, all right, go stand over there and try and sell it to someone. And I'm just like, I want to die right now. Like, I hate everything about this. And,
I did door-to-door sales for
last.
12 years, Harrison.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't want to hear anything about that. All right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. By the way, speaking of door-to-door salesman, I had a guy knock on my door, and we have a little sign there that says, no soliciting unless you're a Girl Scout, selling Girl Scout cookies, stuff like that. And
Did he
knocks
claim
on-
to be a Girl Scout? Because I would do that, and that
No,
would
no,
sound,
no.
that'd be so
No,
funny.
even worse. He knocked on the door. Nicole opens it, and he goes, "Hey, I saw your sign, but I thought I'd just check in anyway." I was like, "Wait, so he read the sign and realized and thought, yeah, I know, but I'm gonna ask you anyway." Like he blatantly ignored it. It was just funny. I'm getting close to putting a sign on my door that says like, "If I don't know you're coming over, don't knock on my door," or something like that.
I'll tell you one thing: you're wasting your money because they're still gonna knock on your door.
Yeah,
if they're
I
a good
know.
salesman. The only thing that has ever held me back, and I don't think you want this on the front of your door, but if you have the no soliciting sign with the gun, like looking down the barrel, have you ever seen that sign?
Yeah,
Those signs work,
I don't want to be that guy.
but that's the only sign that does work.
You know, so I served my mission in Las Vegas, and the very first 3 doors I knocked on, the first one, somebody was like, "Get off my property or I'm going to sick my dog on you." "Yes, sir." Turned around, walked away. The next door, someone was like, pulled a katana, and they're like, "Get off my doorstep." And I was like, "Okay." And the third door was someone took a shotgun and like Emily blunted that in my face, and I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
And that never happened the rest of my mission, but the very first 3 doors were like absolute aggressive threats to get off. They're like, "I don't want to know about God at all. Get away."
Dude, that was. I luckily never had that. I did. Oh my gosh. Okay, I can tell this story. I walked up to a door. I served my mission in Alabama, so knock on the door. Gal opens it up. We do our spiel, and she's like, "Yeah, here, my husband would love to talk to you." And so we walk inside. As soon as I stepped in the house, the husband slammed the door. I mean, like full on, "I'm kidnapping you," slammed the door behind me and just whipped out a Bible and just like went at me. And he's like talking at me, and I aggressively stepped forward into his face and I said, "You open this effing door right now." Like I got really angry at him, and he opened the door, we left, and my missionary companion, we walked to our bikes, and he goes, "Hey, Elder Jensen, you swore back there pretty seriously." And I was like, "Do not effing, you gotta be kidding me. We're going home right now."
Transfer.
Like, I was so pissed off. I've never been that mad in a long time. That was crazy.
Well, I'm the black sheep of the family. I didn't go on my mission, but
Oh, boo.
I did get
I'm just
threatened at the door many more times than both of you combined. so.
I'm pretty sure you also did 10 more years worth of door knocking than we did.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
kidding. Man. I
Yeah,
did.
I could start a podcast about door to door and my experiences. It was
I believe
crazy, dude. Like every week, there was just some run in, or someone like I had one guy he like kicked us out, called the cops, and then we kept doing our thing, and then he like just ripped his shirt up and started running at us like. Yeah,
Wow.
that was down in Kaiser. We were in the
Oh,
Salem
wow.
area working.
It's Kaiser.
Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, I grew
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, lots of funny stories. Well, let's jump into this because I
don't you
want to
get
talk about
out
this
of it?
movie.
Hold on. Let me do my signature transition.
All right, perfect.
All right. So speaking of athletic men running really fast. See what I did there? See?
Nice, very good, very
Right.
good.
Let's jump out of this episode.
Let's
that-
reverse
is that what I was
bungee
supposed to
jump
say?
into this episode.
A secret agent is thrust into a high-stakes shadow war where the primary weapon isn't ballistics but the manipulation of entropy itself. Armed with only the cryptic word Tenet, he must navigate a labyrinth of international espionage to prevent a global catastrophe orchestrated from the future. As the laws of cause and effect unravel, he discovers that saving the world requires mastering a reality that flows backward as often as it moves forward. We live in a twilight world, and this is Christopher Nolan's 2020 film, Tenet.
Not too many friends at dusk.
Nah, not too many. All right, Scott.
Not too many.
For the last time, at least for this section of our podcast, Tell us about the first time you watched this film, what it means to you. Why did you pick it out of the millions of movies you had on your list?
Well,
for
I
it.
think I'll just go back to every single of the 52 previous episodes and pull out my reference to Tenet and just piece it. That would be the whole episode. No, okay. So I saw this movie in 2020 in theaters. I braved the COVID world, and me and Paige were the only two people in the theater.
Awesome.
And it was only playing in one theater in Salem at the time. And we went and watched it, and I was like, what the ever living crap did I just watch? And that was the most impressive piece of pure nonsense that I have ever seen. And I went home and I tried to explain it to my parents, and I was like, this, I, as it, and I couldn't articulate it at all. And then I watched it again for Christmas because it had just kind of released on like digital video at that point several months later, and I was like, this movie makes no sense. I don't like it. I was like, this is just confusing and boring. And then I watched it a third time later, and it was also confusing and boring. And then I watched it a fourth time, and I was like, okay, it's growing on me. And then I watched it a fifth time, and it was like, whoa, this movie's actually really good. And then I watched it two times for recording this episode. So I watched it sixth and seventh time. And I freaking love this movie. It gets better and better and better every single time. And the more you pretend to understand it, the more good it gets. It's like pure fine wine. It's like a Twinkie that has survived 1,000 years and is still perfectly ripe. It's so good.
A ripe Twinkie. That's hilarious.
Right. That's a good word.
And I gotta say that this movie is not for the faint of heart still. It's so much nonsense, but it is pure, honest, transparent, everything is there, deep, smart nonsense. And it's a movie that just keeps giving. And I have so much to say about this movie, but I'm gonna try and not. I want to know what you guys have to say about this, because I think this is probably in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. And I want to know how I'm right or wrong from you.
I just want to start off by saying that this is the most Nolan film that Nolan ever Nolaned.
I agreed.
And I loved this viewing experience. And I just keep getting my mind blown when I think about Christopher Nolan himself sitting down, crafting, constructing this film. The story is so cool, and how he sets up the shots in his mind, integrating the backwards filming shots, the training that went into the fighting backwards, and the backwards pull-ups on the boat, lining it all up. It honestly hurts my brain to even think about someone planning all of this, thinking it through, following through, and then pulling it off. I think this is an extremely impressive achievement in film. And it's hard to say that definitely, just because when this came out in 2020, I just think a lot of it, like, it didn't get its full reach and didn't have the impact because of that whole COVID thing. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah.
I try not to.
Just wow. This movie is not. I have more to say on it about my wife's viewing experience too. That was kind of funny. I ended up watching the movie with her, and she falls asleep in every movie, so we had to keep going back and watching it. But like you guys, I watched it multiple times, so I'm not coming in here on one viewing, which I think is very important if you're going to talk about the movie.
I had a journey with this movie. My goodness.
Yeah.
So I started up, and I kind of went in with this idea in my head. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of time shenanigans going on in this film, so I feel like I really need to focus and really pay attention to what's going on, like just really analyze it. So I'm going through the first bit of the film with this idea, and then we kind of get the extraction scene at the not the opera house, but like the classic music. They're playing the violins and all that good stuff. That whole thing's happened. We see like our first instinct of a bullet getting inverted backwards in time. And that was like, okay, whoa, hold on. So I'm thinking about it. Then it gets to the scene where she's kind of explaining inverted bullets and kind of going through the concept of it. And I'm like trying to digest it, understand it. And then she says this line. You ready? She says, "Don't try to understand it, just feel it." And that was like a huge switch for me for my experience watching this movie because my thought was, oh, okay, I'm not going to worry about trying to understand this. I'm just going to feel it. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this movie as if it's a James Bond movie because this feels like a spy thriller.
Because it's a spy movie. Yep.
It's a spy movie. Then there's this kind of long chunk where nothing inverted really happens. And then you get to the airport scene where they're going through that whole section.
That scene, the first time you watch it, just gives you freaking like uncomfortable, uncanny valley chills.
Oh yeah.
You're
Yeah,
like
most
vomiting because it's so weird.
So, but the thing is this, I watched it kind of with this layer of this is a James Bond movie. I'm not supposed to really think of the logistics of how this is working. So whenever like an inverted person shows up, I just kind of converted it to, okay, someone knew that this heist was going on and the plan's just not going the way it's supposed to go. So I just kind of converted it into that and just kind of watched it for what it was. And then I got to the last like 20% of the movie and I was like, shit, okay, I actually have to figure this out. Like I can't just like gloss over these events. I have to actually understand what's going on. So I rewatched the last like 30% of the movie a couple times now just to try and figure out exactly what happened. So overall, right now, I don't think I'm where you're at, Scott, on your 7th and 8th viewing. So I didn't watch this and go at the end go, oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece. But I did watch it, and my first thought was like, I am extremely impressed by the idea of this movie, and I know a lot of thought and love went into this film, and I think that raises my rating on this movie quite high. But overall, like when I watched this at the end, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch that a lot more times for me to get there.
Yeah.
And I would say this, like Amadeus is kind of in my top movies that I'm like, I need to rewatch that and really appreciate it. And Tenet's not above Amadeus, but it's definitely up there. Like top 10 movies that I'm like, yeah, I need to rewatch that so I can fully appreciate what it is.
I need to rewatch the movie because I feel like there are so many little details or quick shots or a reaction of a character that go right over your head the first time you watch it.
Yes.
Or like even when you see that little, what's it, like a little coin on like the red string on the back of Neil's backpack.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know to take notice of that in the very beginning when they're in the orchestra house.
Yeah.
But that's where he first sees it. And I don't know, is that what you mean? Like,
yeah,
just like...
Yeah, I would say Amadeus. So me wanting to rewatch Amadeus is more me going like, I want to appreciate this film for what it is. Like, I feel like I ate it and I didn't digest it correctly. Like it went down the wrong tube of my mouth or whatever. For Tenet, it's more like, okay, my first viewing is layer 1 and there's 30 layers. So I want to watch it to get all the layers. That's kind of how it feels for me. It's like when I read, it's honestly like how I try and read books. The first time I read like a big tome, like a big fantasy novel, I'm like, look, I just want to read it and understand the very basics. Who's who, what's going on, what's the event, what are the big moments, things like that.
You're in it for the ride.
Yeah, right? And then the second, third, and fourth, and fifth is like, all right, I want to chew on this. I want to spend 45 minutes on one chapter of a book. That's what I want to do. And that's kind of how Tenet feels for me right now. So here, I talked to you about this, Scott. I want to try and explain time travel in this movie, and I want you to tell me how wrong I am about it, okay? Because I'm telling you, I had little diagrams, and I was moving little board game pieces across my desk trying to figure it all out, okay? So I wrote
By the way,
down.
Ren, thank you for the disclaimer at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the situation, and I feel like some people are going to come to this podcast hoping we can explain this whole thing. So here's the way I'm going to explain this. On Monday morning, Alpha Harrison wakes up. I go and I drink a Coke. The next day on Tuesday, Nicole comes up to me and says, "Hey, did you drink the last Coke?" And I go, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, I was going to drink that. I'm upset now." So Alpha Harrison drives across town goes to this warehouse, and I get inverted. In that moment, we now have Alpha Harrison. We also have Beta Harrison, which continues forward from that point onward as if he wasn't inverted. And Gamma Harrison, which is waking up on Monday morning. I'm traveling backwards in time. And at one point, Alpha Harrison and Gamma Harrison are in the same moment of time. Alpha Harrison keeps going backwards, back to Monday morning. I get inverted, and then I drink a Pepsi instead of a Coke. Does that make sense, Scott?
That makes sense, and you're entirely wrong.
Perfect. All right, great. I will say this. The one part about this movie that I really had to understand was how, like, just what we're talking about, how time travel works in this, because what I'm used to is Back to the Future, where I input the day and the year and all that. When I go back in time, there's a big explosion, and all of a sudden I'm there. But this movie is when you invert, you're experiencing the time travel. Like, you're living the time travel. You're not just boom, wake up, and all of a sudden you're there. So that was kind of my key to trying to figure out how all this movie worked. So, anyways, that's
Don't
how.
Try to understand it.
Yeah,
just feel it.
Feel it. Exactly. Did I get any of that right, though?
No, no, you didn't.
Okay, damn. Okay, I guess I don't understand this movie then.
The term reverse entropy is really important. It's
Okay.
not time travel. They actually, he says that time travel. He's like, no, reverse entropy. Oh, okay, Feynman's blah blah blah. I have a master's in physics. Blah 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, nerd.
Duh.
You know. And the whole point is that everything has always already happened.
Mhm.
So there is no way that you can go back and not drink the Coke. Like, you did drink the Coke, but now there's a version of you. It's the same version, and there's not like one that splits or forks off. It's just you are now going backwards through time. Your entropy is happening backwards. And so time happens backwards for you, and you spend a whole day to get back to the beginning of the day. Then you re-invert, and if you choose to drink the Pepsi, then you've just drunk the Pepsi and the Coke. Because the old you already drank the Coke. And you're always in the exact same world. There is no split timelines. Like, this is the whole point of the fight in the hallway with himself. Was he has two very different perceptions of what's going on in that fight, whether it's him not wearing the full like SWAT gear or he's just wearing the suit, you know? So for example, you're like, oh my gosh, this aggressive guy came in and shot a bunch of bullets at his head and he dodged them. And then they had this freaky fight. And then he like sucked himself through the gate and ran away. And it was like, what happened?
Dude, that part's nuts. Yeah.
And then when you see it the second time, the protagonist has no time to be messing with himself. He's just trying to get away so that he can save Kat. Like, he's like, freak, I'm in the way. And so then his old self is like throwing punches at him, but he knows what punches he's going to throw at himself. So he like stops them, but that already happened in the past. And so he's just experiencing it from two different perspectives. And then when it gets to the beginning of the fight, the quote unquote beginning of the fight for the original guy, the forward entropy guy, but the backwards entropy guy version is like, I have this gun full of bullets. I don't want them to go into my own head. So every time my old version of myself dodges, I'm going to shoot a bullet out of the magazine to get it out of the gun. So it can't be shot at me. And so it's like every time he dodges, he shoots. Dodge, shoot, dodge, shoot. And then at the end, he dismantles the gun, drops the magazine, scatters it all across the floor, and then jumps into the turnstile.
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon-exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show.
But then when you're like, none of it, he's like just trying to disarm his old self so he doesn't get killed. You watched that scene originally from, forward entropy perspective, and it's like what it looks like is this guy runs backwards out of a turnstile, reaches his hand down to the floor, the gun sucks up into his hand, he pieces it all together and starts shooting bullets at him. And it's like both things are true simultaneously, but it all happened at the same time. And this is like Neil's conversation at the end was like faith in the mechanics of the universe and reality, that like what happened and like, hey, I don't want to leave it to chance. It's probably going to work out, but I know I need to go do this thing. So peace, brother. I love you. This is the end of a beautiful friendship. Casablanca style,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, it was once again, this is like the more times I watch it, the more I'm like, oh, I finally understand like why the cars are driving backwards. Oh, just like things like that. I'm like, wait. I'll be honest though, I still think I understand only about 10% of the final battle.
Oh, well, the battle is absolutely bonkers. Like that last scene is very like, you got to slow it down a lot. Like you really got to slow down and really think about what's going on, because I feel like we've had this type of conversation before, but I'm just thinking like, okay, did Christopher Nolan fail in this movie because so many people don't understand what's going on? Like, is part of the requisite for a movie to be good is that, hey, everyone who watches this should actually understand what's going on? Or is it like, no, like it's complicated and it's hard, and for people who want to understand it, it's very rewarding when they get there. You know what I mean? It's like reading a complicated it's like reading a complicated book, like one of those really big old tomes. It's like, yeah, like if you pick it up and casually read it, you're not going to enjoy it. But for people who really want to understand it and dive deep into it, it's very rewarding. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a different approach,
This is just feels like a complete art like project. This doesn't I don't know, because I came out of the movie just super high on it. Like I thought it was incredible. And then I go online and it's like 1 star. If Christopher Nolan, all it is exposition. There's no character development. I'm confused and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I see that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and like that like what you're saying is where I usually fall. Like I've talked about this on the show and with Scott, but just like I've been really down on Nolan, so I see both sides. But I got to admit, like when I'm done watching this movie, I'm pretty sure nothing concrete, but I think this is my favorite Nolan movie. It's in the top 3, probably in the top 2. And I was just going through his filmography, and I've seen all of his movies starting in the year 2000. He has 3 other films before then that I haven't seen or heard anything about. But Memento, moving forward, this movie is incredible. It's one of a kind. It's nuts. Again, I've already touched on it, but just it's so impressive how it all worked. The scene where that Hummer is going up the hill and the like explosions are happening right in front of it, and then that one soldier gets like sucked up in the reverse of that explosion in the wall.
Oh man.
I watched that. I watched it again last night with Paige, and I was like, that specific thing happened, and I was like, I cannot even comprehend what just occurred. I've seen this so many times, and I'm still like, what the
Yeah. So I have one more thing to add too, because I came out of this and I was like, I have to watch another Nolan film. So I watched Interstellar, which I've also talked a lot about with you, Scott. And I got done watching it, and I like Tenet more than Interstellar. And I know that's probably not popular.
It's pretty big.
But there are some really horrific casting choices in Interstellar that we don't need to talk about. We're not here to talk about that movie. But I think as a whole, Tenet is better because Nolan's kind of a cheeseball. Like he's like a corny dad. That's kind of like what I've come down to. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I think about him. That doesn't mean he's not incredible and one of the greatest directors we have alive. But some of the lines in Interstellar made my skin turn inside out. Like I hated it. it. There's nothing cringy about Tenet, in my opinion. Maybe the last little dialogue between Neil and the protagonist. Maybe some of that where he like walks
little
up in the
syrupy.
sunset. Yeah, a little, but nothing egregious like Interstellar. So
So, okay,
I'm working this out. I'm working this out in my head.
Yeah. Just a quick aside, though, I think the cringiest and the thing I hate about this movie the most is that the main character is named the protagonist. Like Red, like you have that ending scene in Dunkirk that you're like, I freaking hate this, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the thing about Tenet that I'm like, I hate the fact that you go on IMDb and it's like, John David Washington, and it's like the protagonist. I'm just like, this is the most highbrow crap I've ever heard. Like, come
That is
on.
highbrow. That's very
Yeah,
highbrow.
that's
funny.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that didn't bother me, but yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, no, that one
Now
got
you
me.
bring it up.
I want to talk about the Sator Square
Let's
because
do it.
during the research for this podcast, I had seen, I've watched a million like things you missed about Tenet, or let's watch the scene in forward and backward entropy at the same time, all explained, all those kinds of videos. I've watched probably more of those than the actual movie. Though I don't know, it's probably even at this point. But there's this one thing that people kept referring to as this Sator Square, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" So I just Googled Sator Square. Not created by Nolan. It's this ancient like Roman word puzzle thing, and it's 5 letters across and 5 letters down. So it's a square of 25 letters, and across the top it says Sator, Sator. And then down the left side, starting in the top left corner, Sator, going down. And then the inverse of that across the bottom is Rotas, which is Sator spelled backwards. And then going up from there is Sator, but going down is Rotas. So you have the word Sator reversed and mirrored multiple ways in this square, like a 2-dimensional mirror thing. And then you fill in the letters in the middle. And so, like, if you just read the words going down, all 5 words going down, the top word is Sator. The next word is arepo. The next word is tenet. The next word is opera. And the last word is rotas. Mm-hmm. And so every single one of those words sort of like, it's like an inevitable fit. Like they all lock in and you can't change it. Like you can't change any word in this. And as far as people can tell, so it's been in pop culture multiple times. It's most popularized by this movie, but like it's been this like art, like etched into stone all over ancient Rome. It's like a thing that was well known at the time. And no one really knows the significance of it. People just really kind of assume that it's like a word puzzle, a popular word puzzle from its day. But arepo doesn't mean anything, and rotas doesn't mean anything. But opera in English means something, and Sator can be like a name, right? So it's this really weird mind virus that like dug into totally seeped into my brain while I was doing research, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I started playing around with it, and I was putting like random crap into the Discord channel where I was trying to come up with my own Sator squares where I was spelling out like the word Pepsi and Harry and things like that, and like what words inevitably fit into the Sator square if I change the word, and like what's the lock in there. So what's interesting about this movie in particular is that the movie is called Tenet, right? That's a palindrome. It's spelled the same forward as going backwards, which is great. But none of the other words in that Sator square are palindromes. They're anadromes, which means that they mean 2 different things when spelled forwards and backwards, but they're both words. I think Nolan saw this and he couldn't let it go. He was like, and over years and years and years, he came up with this story of Tenet based off of the Sator Square as the unrelenting mind virus that just took over him. Like, if I imagine, it's like his inception, for this, and he couldn't let it go until the movie was made. And so Sator is obviously the main character or the main villain. That's Andre Sator. Mm-hmm. The next word down is Arepo. That's Thomas Arepo, who is the guy who had the Goya that Cat like sold it to and was close to. So that's another proper name. The next word down is Tenet, which is obviously the name of the movie and the organization from the future that is supposed to be fixing time and all that jazz. Then the next word down is opera, which is a huge plot point. That's the opera house where the piece of the algorithm was originally got that happened simultaneously with the Stalsk 12 fight and Cat killing Sator at the end and stuff like that. So that's all integrated there. And then the last word, Rotas, is the name of the security and construction company owned by Sator that like digs and also like does the free ports at the airports and things like that. So Nolan integrated all of those words into the movie. So as I was trying to create my own Sator squares it was amazing to me how hard it was to make one work. And it seemed like I was like, oh, I want to make a Zelda themed one. And so I found a palindrome, Korok, 5-letter palindrome to put in the middle. And I was like, okay, what are the top and bottom words around it if I lock in Korok in the middle as the plus? So anyway, it was like there's this inevitability of the puzzle. Like it already happened and you're just kind of discovering the puzzle that already existed. And this whole movie feels like that. And that's the newest layer that I've put on top of this is it was like the whole philosophy is like it already happened. Let's just show you everything and can you figure it out? And I love how he like exemplifies trusting your audience in this one. Like he made an engaging story with the most impossible subject matter.
Yeah.
And then you can watch it and be like, well, that was impressive. And then you can watch it and be like, this sucks. You can watch it so many times. And then in the end, you can be like, no, this movie is genuinely amazing. And then it's like my only beef with it now is that the dialogue is delivered wooden, but even that's kind of growing on me.
Yeah. It's got that Point Break vibe where you're like, that Keanu Reeves line delivery where you're like, this feels so wooden. Then you're like, wait a minute, that's the point. Like
that doesn't make it a 5. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's not a 5-star film.
Exactly. So Tenet and Point Break. Okay, gotcha. There's a connection there. Here, I had one question, just because we're kind of talking about the time travel and all this stuff. So the main thing, kind of the big thing that happened in this film is they talk about there's a scientist in the future who's created this, MacGuffin device and realized how powerful and terrible it is. So they invert themselves and come all the way back to the current time of the movie, separate all the pieces, and they're trying to gather it all back together to end the world. The one thing I'm wondering about, because I understand that like, oh, you can send like things back in time. Because it's like, oh, I'm going to bury this thing in the ground. No one's going to find it for, 50 years or whatever. So that someone in the current timeline can dig it up and they have it. But what I'm not understanding is how did the person go back that long? Like, did they just like hide in a vault for that long?
Yes.
Okay. It's that simple.
Yeah. So this is when they get into the shipping containers that are lined with plastic on the inside.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're doing. They're breathing inverted air, going backwards in time for a week.
Gotcha. Man, that sucks. That doesn't sound like a fun time.
No.
Okay, I have a question that maybe you can answer, Scott. But so young Kenneth Branagh, who we still need to talk about more, he finds the gold, kills the guy. Does he just sit on the gold, or does he bring the gold into the future and then how does he end up affording a yacht? How does he get so rich? Is it from that gold?
It's from that gold and more gold. Yes. So he puts a drop spot in no matter what point in time. He puts a tub in the earth and then leaves a note somewhere that somebody in the future finds. They put gold in the box, put it in the same spot, and inverted it, and then put it in the same spot. And then all Kenneth Branagh needs to do is go to that same spot, open it up, and suddenly there's gold in it.
So he's getting paid by people in the future.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
This movie is crazy.
Stupid.
Love it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about Kenneth Branagh. Because
Kenneth.
I didn't know, and Scott, you've mentioned him a few times on the podcast. We've talked about how he's in Much Ado About Nothing. He's in Dunkirk. I thought he was fine in Dunkirk, but that role is nothing like this role. He is one evil son of a bitch. The best billionaire evil Russian we've had on this show by far. And he was excellent in that. Like when he gets angry, his eyes like turn like he gets like shark eyes when he's mad.
Oh yeah.
And I was just super impressed.
How do you
Like,
want to die? Old.
Yeah, you picked the wrong profession.
I love that dialogue so much.
Yeah, that part's great. Okay, when his lifeless dead body flips off the yacht, I screamed. I did not see that coming. I thought he was suspicious of his wife, played by Elizabeth Debicki,
Love her.
and she was
Oh
going
my
to be.
gosh, she's so good at this in this movie.
Oh yeah, but yeah, and then it shows him dragging his body behind the other boat. Just good lord, like I thought that was nuts, and I had a interesting kind of realization. I don't know if this makes sense, but right after she shoots him, like right in the heart, like right above the chest area, I found it interesting and almost more violent that there wasn't a ton of blood. Like it was just like a hole where the bullet goes. And it made me just kind of realize something about violence. How like I don't know. They could have made it bloody. They could have made it squirt. They could have made like a trail of blood, and they didn't do any of that. And it made it more violent to me. I don't know if you guys felt that way. Just a little
Yeah, I agree.
side note, but that part was crazy. Yeah, I know they used a body double, but I was like, dude, Kenneth Branagh pulled that off so well. That was that was amazing.
Yeah, no, I'll say Kenneth Branagh, he has aura, like big time. Like whenever he's on scene, it's like everything is focusing on him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he also did just a really incredible job with it within this. I thought his accent was scary as hell. Yeah, there's just a lot of great moments with it.
So he's
props to him.
originally a stage actor, which is explains it coming in with like Much Ado About Nothing, and he's Inspector Poirot in like the Midnight Express movies and things like that. He's a director, and honestly, he's one of those guys that I value his skill and talent, but he's not my jam.
Mm-hmm.
He's good at everything, but he's Kenneth Branagh in everything. He's Kenneth Branagh acting like he's on stage with everything, except this role.
Okay, except this role.
He was not Kenneth Branagh in this movie to me. He was Andrei Sator. And I've said this multiple times on the show. There's some times when an actor who is very distinctly that person is not that person in a role. Like Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai. That is not Tom Cruise to me.
Yeah.
Or Jim Carrey in A Spotless Mind. That is not Jim Carrey to me. That's whatever his name is, Nick or whatever. And there's a handful of others, but this is Kenneth Branagh's non-Kenneth Branagh role. He's so good at being Andrei Sator that I just don't see the actor. I see the role.
Yeah, I want to talk about. You said his name earlier. I have to look it up. I have to cheat. But Denzel Washington's son. Hold on.
John David Washington.
John David
what?
Washington.
That's his son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mind blown. Know him. No, honestly, I really, he was actually probably, I don't know. Actually, there's a lot of great performances in this movie, but I really liked him in this one. He plays a very great character and just, I don't know.
Boring and charming.
Yeah.
And
That's
funny.
exactly what it was. It's
Without
boring,
being
charming,
funny.
and funny. He's, he doesn't have the suaveness that like a James Bond character has, but he's got the wit. I think he's got the wit. That's the one that really got
And
me. Like
so much athleticism.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really
no,
good.
a lot of
you don't
performances, yeah.
question the fact that he's beating the crap out of people. Like you're like, of course he'd win.
Yeah, it's like duh. I did not know that's his son. Go him. That's so cool.
Okay, I want to say one funny thing about him before you go into praising this dude, Ren.
Okay.
Isn't it funny how short he seems in this movie?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, hold on. Like, who's the actress who plays Kat again? What's her name?
Elizabeth Debicki.
Elizabeth. Okay, she's really dang tall. Like,
Okay,
she's
so
like
I looked at it.
6'4",
I was
6'5".
like, this guy. I mean, Tom Cruise is short. He's like 5'5", something like that. And they always make him look taller. They always do all sorts of camera tricks to make him look taller. This one, John David Washington is not a short person. He's 5'9".
Mm-hmm.
So he's
Okay.
like average male dude height. Everyone else in this movie is extremely tall.
I guess all I had to say was there's one line where he's kind of looking in the camera and then he turns and he walks away and he looks exactly like his dad. Like they have the same walk. My favorite line of his, which apparently, I think this is one of the only times Christopher Nolan has ever let someone improv a line in his movies.
Yeah.
But the line where he goes, I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago. I love that line. And he came up with that on the spot, apparently. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. So we talked about multiple episodes ago when we were first doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we were like, it is so corny that Shredder is named after having cheese graters on his arms. And this guy literally used a cheese grater on people's faces.
God. That part's insane.
That wigged the crap out of me. Like,
Yeah.
Every now and then they find a way to hurt somebody in a way that you're just like, we've all imagined, like when we're slicing up cheese or we're cutting a carrot on the side of a cheese grater, we always imagine our fingertips just getting cut by them. And when that happened, I like visceral reaction. Like I stood up and was just, dear heavens, really wrecked me there.
Okay, so grandfather paradoxes. The one thing that I love about Nolan is how grounded he makes his movies. He sets his rules, he makes them grounded, but he's going to play around with it. But this movie is full of grandfather paradoxes, and it's on purpose. So a grandfather paradox, if you're not an absolute nerd like me, and that's not part of your everyday lexicon, is there's this thought experiment of what happens if you decide you hate your grandfather, so you go back in time, kill your grandfather, but then your grandfather is dead in the past, and so who births you? You know,
Yep.
and so they bring this up in the movie. The answer is it's a paradox. It's unknowable. Also, time travel doesn't exist, so it doesn't matter. It's just one of those academic fun thought experiments that I just love. So this movie has a handful of them, but I think the most obvious one that I love is in the final battle. There's right at the 5-minute mark exactly. The red team and the blue team both shoot a rocket at one building, and it unexplodes and then re-explodes differently. And because of the mechanics of this movie, that building cannot have existed. Like it can't both be crumbled in the past and in the future at the same time. They can't have both affected it that way. Like, who built it? In that 1 second in between those two people, it's not like there's split timelines here. And it's one of those, like, I keep going back and watching it. Not only does it look incredible, but it's one of those, like, I just can't, I want to vomit because it's so paradoxy, but they made it happen and it fits and it just works in this story. There's a handful of them. There are some really good theories. Harrison, I'm going to like just parrot some theories I read online.
Oh, please.
Because I don't know if you had enough brain power or capacity to come up with your own cool ones.
Oh my gosh, no, not really. I'm excited though.
So the one that I subscribe to that's not explicit, but it's implied in the movie very heavily is that Kat's son, Max, is Neil.
Yep.
I agree with that one.
Yep.
I love
I've
it.
heard
There's
this
a
one.
lot of stuff to support that. Not the least, the two most, there's a lot to support it, but the two that I think are most supportive is that Robert Pattinson did a fake accent to match Kat's accent, which there are a lot of different accents in London, and he picked a very specific one to match his mother's, essentially. Another is that he is the only person in the movie that dyed his hair, and if you look, it's the exact same color as the little kid Max's. Also, if you take the word Maximilian and you reverse it, the first 4 letters of the reversed Maximilian British spelling is Neil.
Wow.
He also, at the end of the movie, when he's talking to the protagonist in their farewell, he's like, yeah, it's been many years ago for me, but it's many years in the future for you. So the idea is that after he saves Kat from Priya at the very end of the movie, he goes and raises and acts as a father figure to Max, and they have shenanigans as they both grow up and stuff like that, going backwards and forward in time. Another one that I think is pretty fun is that Ives, the third random dude with the beret, is the same character as Michael Caine because similarly they have the same accent. And no one has an accent like Michael Caine.
That's cool.
What?
I like that idea.
So these are theories, right? These
Yeah,
aren't.
these are theories.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just check.
this is just theories. Yeah.
Okay.
And one more bigger one is that all of the bad stuff that's being stopped by Tenet is theorized to be instigated by the protagonist in the future. That he learns enough, he knows enough, and he decides that he takes his own philosophy that each generation fends for themselves, but in the future generation, he goes, well, our oceans rose and our rivers ran dry, so therefore we're going to take care of ourselves here, and sends all of the stuff, and he's trying to end the world in the future, from the future. So the bad guy is also the antagonist, which Priya says to him. She's like, you are a protagonist, but you're not the protagonist, and all that kind of stuff. So the thing that I love about this movie is that everything is so transparent. Like, there's no subtlety to the dialogue. And it's why the dialogue is so wooden. It's like, oh, tell me about that. Well, what about fate? Well, you can't have fate. Well, let's talk about masters in physics and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, that dialogue sucks, but where else are you going to stick it, basically?
Yeah.
And that's the trade-off that Nolan had to make. But because of that, it's like Nolan can tell the actual story that he's trying to tell and be very transparent. It's just so nonlinear and so unintuitive that it takes an entire internet across 6 years to piece these theories together, and they all fit.
You're talking about that ending scene with Neil and the protagonist, and it kind of made me think back to the bank heist scene. I'm gonna try and talk my thoughts out on this one. So they're kind of working their way into the center of the whole vault. They walk up to these two doors, and they're entering this code, and I believe, and that's right outside where the turnstiles are, and the different colored rooms, the red and the blue. I think I marked down, I was like, they're both entering two different rooms. They're two different colors, red and blue. I probably need to keep an eye out for red and blue coloring in this film to fully understand it.
Red is going forward and blue is going back.
Yeah. And then but one thing I just kind of realized was they're entering the keys to open the door, and Neil's like, hey, do you need some help? And he reaches over to put the code in there. So I don't know if that, maybe that was a hint as like, yeah, we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm reaching back in time to help you. So I thought that was a cool little subtle, just like hint towards their friendship that's been going on longer than we've realized.
To add to that one, the whole point is they never talk to each other about their personal lives. They don't share information, and secrets are ammunition or whatever they say. But Neil somehow knows that the protagonist never drinks on the job. He wants a Diet Coke. And he's like, yeah, okay, you're well informed. And he's like, but I like soda water. And he's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
With a smile. And it's like, yeah, like he clearly understands the protagonist way better than he's been letting on. And just faith in the mechanics of the world that he's going to live because he's lived before.
Yeah, to be honest, like, I didn't get too hung up on everything I didn't totally understand when I watched the movie. But when I watched the movie with my wife, it drove her freaking insane. Like, she did not like it. And it's funny. So the first time we were watching it, she fell asleep, like I mentioned earlier. She always does. The next day, I'm online doing exactly what everyone else does after they watch this movie. They're like, explain Tenet. And I didn't even realize that Neil is Kat's son. And my wife was like, wait, what? I didn't finish the movie. I was like, oh, shoot, sorry. I was like, never mind. Actually, that doesn't even really matter.
Also, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, we rewatch it.
How is it that could be such a big plot drop and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I know. So we're watching it, and then we get to the very ending, and that's like the last scene where it kind of implies that Max is Neil, Neil's Max, everything. And she just looked over and she's like, I hate this movie. She's like, she's like, you blew it. Like, you told me the ending. I was like, but that's not really the ending. It's, yes, I did tell you that, but to me, that doesn't really change.
It doesn't really.
Movie? Question mark? Like, anyways, I ruined it for her, but it didn't bother me.
I feel like you can watch this movie in any order. After you watch it the first time, you can watch it in any order, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And that is there any other movie like that?
No.
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 There isn't. It's so crazy to me. I can't even, like, for some reason, like, whenever I read a bad review about this movie, it's that they just don't get it. But, like, I'm in the camp of don't try to explain it, feel it. And I think that makes it a completely more rewarding experience to watch this movie.
Okay, so I'm gonna go on a Scott tangent. I hope it's not too long. Okay.
Where's my
So-
where's my coffee? Okay, hold
Where's
on.
Hey, thanks to the fan that bought you that coffee. Plug, click the link, buy a coffee.
I'm drinking coffee right now.
Hey, everybody, just popping in real quick. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, that would really help us out a lot. But either way, let's get back to the show.
There you go.
Man, we've got a lot of patrons. Okay, so Paige just is in the middle of beta reading her next book. She's sent out her next book to beta readers. And there's just stuff that she thought she was clear enough about. You make two mistakes. The first is you plot dump everything, all the world, the characters and stuff like that, and people glaze their eyes and they hate it, and that's why people don't read fantasy. The other one is you don't give people enough information, and then you're like, what am I reading? I have no idea. And it doesn't have the interesting things about what makes a fantasy world interesting. And so we were talking about how do people make the beginnings of books palatable so you can say what you need to say to set up the actual interesting story without overwhelming people. And this movie, Tenet, and pretty much any story from Christopher Nolan is really, really smart and brainy. And coming from the video game industry, the solution is basically like tell everything on a need-to-know basis across a longer period of time. So take like the game Portal, for example, where the entire 2-hour game is just basically a tutorial on how to use portals. And then you finish the game, you're like, okay, now let me like play with these, but there's no more game. They spent the whole game just catching you up basically with how these work. Now, Nolan does a couple of really interesting things across his movies. So like Inception is really this story about multi-layered dreams and coming up with reality and that half wakefulness and truth and those like deep philosophical questions. But what he frames it as is a heist movie. And that makes the concept way more palatable because you already have all of the tropes and hooks for a heist movie. And the same thing happens with Tenet in that he's got this just absolute bonkers of a story that no one in their right mind should tell or can tell, but he does tell. And he makes it palatable by framing it as a spy movie. You've got the athletic, suave main character who's up against a Russian villain who's got this like femme fatale that is his sidekick, and he's got to save the beautiful woman and save the world from absolute destruction. All of these are like hardcore tropes, all the way down to like James Bond music when they introduce the plane, and it's like wah, wah, like funny. Even that was not enough to help you grok this movie. He also has the main character like not know anything about what's happening, and he basically is just trying to catch up the entire movie, all the way up to the point where when he's about to go into the final battle, this is the climax of the movie, and he goes up to Ives and he's like, hey Ives, I wanted to be in the first wave. And he's like, shut up, little brat, there is no first wave, we're going at the same time. Like, you need to not get on the chopper if you can't pull your head out of your butt about linear time, you know? And he's like, oh, yeah, dang, I forgot about that whole nonlinear time thing again. Like, even with all of these devices to help people understand, it's still such a complicated movie. And I was thinking about how we've talked about, like, what's pretentious and what's not, and what's, is it more important to be an engaging movie that you have fun with but don't understand, or is it better, you know, like, and a lot of that is opinion. But I want to throw one out I haven't articulated before, but I think I have the right framing for it now, is that there is content type movies, and that's your Armageddons and The Fifth Element and, you know, even A Quiet Place. That's borderline content depending on what scene you're at and stuff. Content being like, this is the stuff that it's a crowd pleaser. It's there to be interesting but not deep. It's it's there to exist. You know, it's like illustration for illustration's sake, but it doesn't mean anything. This is all in its worst case scenario. It's the TikTok
Yeah.
slop, it's AI slop, you know, it's content. And that's not to say that it doesn't have a place. It's just not deep. It has artistic ability applied to it, but it is not deep art. And then you have films like One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest or Tenet or Gattaca or something. And there are cool parts associated with it, but the point is the depth. And this movie is like anti-content. It's like, if you're here for a short snippet, like, you're not going to get it and you're going to hate it. This is a movie that demands that you pay attention, that you open your eyes and your ears and you read the dialogue explicitly and you rewind it and make sure you got it right. And that is like, yes, that is a different type of material, a different type of film. But I think that's the kind of movie that I crave. Every once in a while, I love a good nonsense movie, a good Bubba Hotep or whatever.
Armageddon.
You know, an Armageddon or something like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm going to watch those with friends, but I will never go out of my way to dilute my life with it otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then because I have such limited time as a parent running multiple businesses and like whatever the case is, like, I would rather spend time with my kids and my wife or walking in nature than watching a movie. Yeah. So if I'm going to watch a movie or a show or read a book, like, it's either going to be a good fun time with friends for a reason, or it's going to be a movie that's actually going to be stimulating and make me like rethink reality. And Tenet is one of those movies that's like, this isn't for other people. This is for your mental stimulation. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
I don't watch movies while doing the laundry, by the way.
So this is kind of what was going through my head for that last little section of your rant. I'm placing this movie into kind of a unique category that we've watched a couple of movies like this. It's a puzzle movie to me, where the point of the movie to me is to figure out what's going on and what the rules are of this world that's being presented to me. And I feel like that's very different. Like, I wouldn't put Tenet and Cuckoo's Nest in the same bin. I feel like those are two very separate movies in my mind. Like,
agreed.
You're going to hate this so much, Scott, and I'm really sorry, okay? But like, Tenet and Quantum Cowboys are in the same bin to me because they're puzzle movies where I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Cuckoo's Nest is a movie where I watch it and it really makes me look inward towards myself and how I view the world and what's going on with myself. And it's in movies like that kind of, and even Gattaca, I put Gattaca in with Cuckoo's Nest, where it's a movie where I watch it, makes me look inward and has the potential to change me and make me do things differently in my life. Whereas I don't think Tenet is doing that to me. And then there's other movies, kind of like what you're talking about in terms of the content, where it kind of almost sits in the middle between these two types of films in my mind, where, like, for example, like, let's just take, I've used this example before, let's Harry Potter. Harry Potter is something I've read a lot. And when I read it, I can find life lessons within it. But it's not exactly the deepest thing in the world. But there's also almost this puzzle element where I'm trying to figure out the mechanics of the world and how this fantasy world, you know, changes everything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it sits kind of in the middle there. But to me, Tenet feels more like a puzzle thing. I'm not walking away from Tenet being like, wow, I'm going to go be a better dad now, you know, or anything like that. I'm interested in figuring out the answers to it, but I'm not going to change. It's not going to change my world.
I love that you brought Quantum Cowboys up. I
Oh,
was going to ask Scott, like,
all
right.
I'm feeling Scott seething right now. My computer's overheating, actually. Oh my God.
I'm far enough away from Quantum Cowboys that I'm not ready to like shoot people in the balls.
I'm telling you, I think it's just my whole podcast goal now to try and bring that up.
No, I from that framing, I agree with you 100%. Mm-hmm. Tenet and Quantum Cowboys are the same level of nonsense.
Yeah.
My problem with Quantum Cowboys was not its accuracy and its framing and its goals.
Yeah.
My problem is that I hate postmodernism.
Okay, one thing I wanted to ask though was, so there's two like big phrases in the film. There's Tenet, and then what was the other one? Kind of the code they use to like signify to each other. It's
There are
like
no
something
friends
about
we live in a twilight world, and there are no friends at dusk.
yeah. So I understand Tenet is a good way for them to recognize like, hey, we're in this organization together, basically. And I got the idea that they use Tenet because it's the same word forward and backwards. So if you're talking to somebody who's inverted, you'll hear it from them. But the Twilight one, I was like, okay, that's just a way to signify like, hey, everything's like we're on the same team. But then the bad guy says it at one point. And that was confusing to me. I was like, wait, hold on. Like, why did he say that? Why would he be in on this code word that seems to be like the good guys say that, not the bad guys? So I didn't know if there was anything deep to that, but it made me scratch my head.
I don't have an answer to that one other than I had a similar thought. Notice that when Sator says it, that the protagonist doesn't respond back.
Yeah.
He pretends, is like, oh, is that Whitman? It's pretty.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was really confused by that. I was like, okay, like was Sator a part of quote unquote the good guys for at one point or something? Yeah, so I didn't know what that was.
So there's specific dialogue when the protagonist is he's just about to recruit Neil. So he gets a burner phone and he calls this number. And immediately he drops, hey, we live in a twilight world. And the guy's like, yeah, no friends at dusk. Also, I thought you were dead. And he's like, yeah, even dead people need help. And he's like, all right, well, what do you need? And that line in particular signifies to me that dialogue is like a previous secret operative CIA kind of phrase. It's not related to Tenet in any way. And so for Sator to know that and try to invoke it to get a reaction or something could make sense because Sator is very well informed in his arms dealer nonsense. So I think that's as deep as it goes for real. But my guess is that it's a CIA code word that doesn't really matter, but continues to get used. It's very implied and not explicit.
Let's see, just the last couple things that I have written down here. I did actually take the whole fight scene and I put it into DaVinci Resolve and I reversed it to try and watch it backwards. And it kind of lined up. And it was interesting just to do that because I felt like, well, if I'm going to watch Tenet, I have to have this experience.
So I did this in 2021 when the film released on digital. I pirated it and I cropped out both the first and second videos or fight scenes. And then I played one forward and one backwards for each one. So I had forward entropy and reverse entropy for fight 1 and fight 2 from different perspectives. And I put them all in a grid and watched them. And I did the stuff there's like very minor tweaks where you have to kind of like stretch a little bit of time because it was multiple takes, things like that. But not a lot. And it probably took me one day to do this project. And then I rendered it and I slapped it up on YouTube. Just my contribution to YouTube poop there.
There you go.
And I watched it every once in a while, and it's kind of incredible how well it does line up. Like they practiced this scene so many times, obviously.
Yeah.
Shout out to the rando. I know that he's documented, he's credited and everything for it, but shout out to the rando that I don't know who plays the masked version of the protagonist through the fight scenes. Because he did just as good as the protagonist.
Yeah.
Both of them had to learn forward and backwards versions of their each of their fights. So they did a good job.
Mind-blowing. Crazy.
By the way, I will pat myself on the back. I did 100% guess that he was fighting himself.
Really?
As soon as that occurred, I was like, and maybe it's just because I went in kind of with this predisposition of like, okay, I know there's time travel in this one. But as soon as he showed up, like he's completely masked, he's completely covered. They seemed, I don't know, there was just something about it. I was like, he's definitely fighting himself. And when Neil unmasks him, I was like, the reaction he had, I was like, okay, he definitely either saw himself or he saw the protagonist in that moment. So I'm just gonna pat myself on the back for that one. The one thing I didn't like about this movie was I really, really don't like it when characters in movies have really important conversations during very inconvenient times. It's when the protagonist and Sador and Kat, they're on that like we're rich boat and they're like racing or something, and then she like cuts his cord and he flies in the ocean. They're like trying to have this really important conversation and they're like screaming at each other, and I'm like, can you guys just sit down to dinner and talk about this? Like that was the one
Yeah.
that was the one part that annoyed the
I was
hell out of
like,
me.
this is the most billionaire thing I think I've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
seen in my life.
Oh yeah, I was like, I actually wrote down. I was like, so this is what rich people do when they have too much money. Like, they just find crazy things like this to do. My last little note I have here: just shout out to Elizabeth Debicki who played Kat. She plays Princess Diana in The Crown, and she freaking slays that role.
Oh,
And
nice.
so watching her in this, I was like, God, this gal is so good at her job. Like yeah, she's like top 10 favorite actresses to me.
Pretty awesome.
I wanna admit something. This
Uh-oh.
final time I watched it last night. Our whole family stayed up, which is really rare. We went to bed at like 1 a.m.
Whoa.
Everyone, like the kids, were like melting down. But Hawkins freaking loved it because, of course, Hawkins would love this
Of
movie.
course, Hawkins.
Of course.
loved it.
And he woke up in the morning and was like, "Dad, how come the bad guy got shot, but the world didn't end?" And I was like, "Oh, well, his watch was supposed to like turn the algorithm on, and they saved the algorithm." And then as I was saying it, was like, "Wait a minute, no, the algorithm was put together. Why didn't the world end? Wait a minute,
Yeah.
what?" And I was sitting there like trying to think through it. I couldn't figure it out. I looked it up, and it was like, oh, the email burst from his dead man switch watch was not turning on the algorithm. It was broadcasting the location of the algorithm to the future so that they could unearth the fully pieced together algorithm and activate it in the future. So the whole point of the final battle was not to turn on the algorithm. It was to put the algorithm down the tube and then blow up a bomb inside of it to cover it with, thousands and tons of dirt. So no one would find it for centuries, but the location would be known so that in the future they could dig it up and end the world, reverse entropy or whatever. And so it made the ending make so much more sense, where both the red team and the blue team were both gone. And the only three people that knew the algorithm was not in the tube was Ives, Neil, and the protagonist. And then they were supposed to kill each other so that nobody knew where the algorithm actually was. But it looked like, as far as Sator and everyone in the red and blue teams, the good guys, as far as everyone else knew, it was blown up and buried inside the cave, inside the tube. So there was no paper trail of it existing or of it not being there. The only paper trail was the bomb went off appropriately. Everyone was there, saw it happen. And the email from Sator says, this is where it is. That freaking blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's a thing. That's a thing.
And your son sent you down that rabbit hole. That's awesome.
Yeah, he did because he does that.
That's awesome. Well, let's pivot into our slimiest scenes.
So my slimiest scene, and this comes from, like, I've watched this so many times now that it's like the little weird side scenes that are really starting to stick out because it's like the new, like, oh my gosh, that adds a layer. So I'm going to skip over the obvious ones, like the uncanny fights that. There's one scene when they're the very end of the second fight scene. They have Kat. They bring her into the ambulance. They're going forward in time now, and they drive off. And as they drive off, they drive past Kat being pushed into the Freeport, where Neil and Kat and the protagonist are all reversed. And so they just drive right past her. But if you like think about just a little bit earlier when they show up reversed, there is an ambulance driving away and you don't recognize that it's them with having succeeded driving away. And that just freaking blew my mind. And I didn't see it the first 9 million times I watched this movie. It was the 9 millionth and first. And it's just all the little things like that that just make me love this movie. This movie, like every movie on my list this month, is a 5. This movie showed me that it is possible to make stupid, complicated systems that are palatable, that are hard to grok, that are true to themselves. One of my biggest beefs with any time travel anything is when they break their rules to make it palatable at the end. Like that Denzel Washington time travel movie where he's like a cop and he goes back and he finds out that, like, oh my gosh, I'm the one that did it. And then he ends up saving the girl that died. And I was like, what? You can't do that. She died. Like, you just broke your own rules. And it made the movie palatable, but it also like ruined the movie for me, and I've never watched it again. And that doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to me. Like, you just absolutely made me a promise and you broke the promise, and now I have less respect for you as a scriptwriter, basically. And then you've got the 12 Monkeys approach that is just a little bit below the first one, which is, no, it all follows the rules exactly as we said. We followed the rules, but the rules suck. Okay, this is a depressing movie, and you're like, why did I watch it? And this movie somehow manages to be complicated enough that you simultaneously have this really cool, happy ending to the story, but it also follows its rules explicitly, like way better than literally any movie ever. I did not believe that was possible, and that's probably the number one reason why I keep coming back to it, even though it was boring, was because like this was intellectually possible as a creative exercise. And I've said before in the podcast when we were in the time travel season that I'm trying to write a time travel graphic novel with my brother set in Page's D.W. Shepard world that is similar to the depth of this, that it simultaneously follows all of its rules, that the main character interacts with himself and doesn't know that it's himself, and it makes sense. It's not a plot device. And what happened, but the end doesn't suck. And it's very, very challenging. And every time I've been working on it for years, honestly, since 2020. And the outline is almost there. And it's because I keep coming back and watching this movie that I just have faith that it will eventually exist because I know it's possible. He gave me permission.
There you go.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'll jump in next, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I just find it fascinating that he pulled it off. Again, I've said that a few times, but this is a one-of-a-kind film. I understand the hate for it. I understand the love for it. Personally, I love it. I thought it was unbelievable, and I'm okay with watching this multiple times because I know it's going to be rewarding. And from the sound of it, it doesn't really end. You just kind of keep watching it and finding and picking up little details and stuff like that. But I've watched it 2.5 times, and I just keep liking it more each time. As far as my slimiest scene, though, I mean, for me, it's basically as soon as Kat makes her way to get back onto the yacht to kill Kenneth Branagh. Like, that part is insane. We didn't say his name, but Ludwig Göransson, the composer for this film, dude, just, it slaps. Like, it just pounds.
And by
it's
slaps, you
pulsing.
mean he literally has PVC pipes that he's slapping?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just so many cool sounds. And, you know, I love me some Hans Zimmer, but, like, this was just as good, if not a little bit better, in my opinion. But I don't know. I shouldn't even say that. But I loved it. I thought it was awesome. The soundtrack, when they are on the fire truck, they're infiltrating that like safe car and they box it in. The soundtrack in that section is incredible. It is so cool. But yeah, Kenneth Branagh's dead body, just I'll never forget that. That was so awesome. And then I love the part too, how she's planning it ahead of time. She squirts the lotion on the floor. She tells him to turn over, lotions his back so he'll be extra slippery. And then the part where she dives and then the other version of her sees her diving off the yacht. I don't know, dude. I was like, oh my God.
I love
So cool.
I love her smile there where she like realizes what's going on and then she looks over and sees herself and Max and she just like beautifully just like dives in anyway. Like, I'm free and I don't give 2 craps what you think of me.
Yep.
Like she's like, woman, it's worth it.
Yep. Yeah, and as far as my rating, this is a 5. This is my number. This is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. I mean,
Ooh.
yeah, I think it is. I'm not sure.
I think the only way that Christopher Nolan could probably make a better film than this one is if he somehow overcame his like wooden dialogue and lack of character progression in his movies.
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
I agree.
like that is his flaw, and they're just usually overshadowed by like how smart his movies are. Like, let's make a really typical war film, except let's make it non-linear and 3 different time scales all presented at once and have it work. And you're like, okay, all right, Nolan, back up a little bit. Inception and Memento, like he's got the Prestige, like he's good at what he does, and he's not super good at what he doesn't care about being good at. But if he could do those things and then also make finally a good Star Wars movie, man, I would like
Could
kiss
be
this.
something.
I would kiss this man's toe jam.
Oh, jeez.
If he
You
can
know,
do to Star Wars what he did to Batman,
right.
beautiful.
I will say I kind of like finding the flaws in directors, like just going back to Don Bluth, which we always do. But like, you know, when you watch those movies and you realize like, oh, he's not very good on like staying on task and like, you know, sticking with our main character. He keeps doing these little side quests that kind of take away from the main story. And then talking about Nolan, it's like, yeah, he does have a lot of woody dialogue, and yeah, sometimes his characters don't develop as well, but he's so strong in these other areas. Like it's a really cool thing to do. I wouldn't mind doing a few more deep dives on directors.
Alas, we have never had a perfect director yet.
Nah, sad. So for me, this sounds so lame, but I think my slimy scene is the cheese grater. that really had an effect on me. It's kind
You
of
will
like
not forget that.
it's kind of like the nail in A Quiet Place. I'm just always thinking about it.
You
It's
can
always
feel
on
it.
my mind now. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. I'll just as my secondary one, I will say actually, you mentioned it, Ren, the heist to get the radioactive whatever thing out of the truck, like when they smashed it in with the fire.
Can I just say that there's like the 10-year-old in me was like, fire truck, fire truck.
Yeah.
There's so many
I
things
love
about
it
that. I
going.
was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
I
great.
love a good heist scene. Heist scenes are great, and I really like when I actually almost like it more when there's a heist scene and it goes to plan. Like, you know, like most heist movies, there's always a moment where things don't go according to plan. I almost like it when they do it, and it's like, no, they pull it off. They planned the whole thing.
And you know what? Very subtle and underplayed. Oh, that's a word that I meant to use a lot through this. This movie was very underplayed. Like, can you imagine any other director? They'd be like, guys, there's this whole crazy thing where bullets travel backwards, and let's do this whole dramatic intro to that. And then in this movie, it's like we get this really boring scientist who's like, by the way, time travel happens backwards. And you're catching the bullet. Don't think about this movie too much.
Just feel
Also, I'm going to show you this room that has all the detritus of a coming war. And instead of it being this massive, massive drawer with all these things, she's like implies that all of the drawers are filled with stuff. But she pulls out one drawer and it's like 3 objects. And it's like, this is
Right.
the detritus of a coming war. And you're like, you have to think about the fact what's happening and not just like, oh, I saw it, so therefore.
Right.
I have one last thing I want to say that I have written down is I was talking about this movie with a coworker several years ago. And he was like, the whole movie reminded me of a PS2 game. Like, there wasn't enough graphics capacity to put all the people and stuff in the scenes. So everything is like kind of empty. The freeway isn't filled with cars. You know, it's like all the scenes are really small. You're always locked into stuff, and everyone's like walking around in boring like desert areas and stuff. I was like, kind of does feel like an empty PS2 game. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just to put my final note on the movie, for my rating, I'm gonna give it a 3. And
Okay, go die.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna give it a 3 for now. I'm interested in watching it again and changing that, but
To a 5.
I think this movie, like I said before, this movie goes into the box of it's a puzzle movie that I'm interested in figuring it out. And I hope that when I watch it next time, maybe I see something that's gonna affect me or change how I see things. But for right now, it's like I'll figure out that puzzle another day.
Beautiful.
So you've only watched it once so far?
I watched it twice. just
No,
to
he's-
help me understand it more.
He's watched
but
it 3 times, but he's gonna watch it for the first time tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simple things like that.
All right. Well, let's transition, guys. We have a lot of business to attend to.
We do. Big ones.
And I've been waiting. And
You're
I'm
itching.
really
Your teeth are
impatient.
itchy.
My ADHD is flashing through my brain right now. So let's do it. Let's do the
I did
freaking...
not realize how many good synth movies there were.
Oh, there are billions. I'm really excited. And my list is fire. So we'll see which ones get picked.
Listen, take us away.
Yeah, explain to the audience what the heck we're doing.
All right, so everybody, this is what's going to be happening. All right, so last week we picked our random category for the next month, and that landed on Ren's category of "Forgive Me for I Have Synth." So the way this is going to work is
Whoa! It's
What?
forgive me, Lord, for I have
Lord,
synth.
for I have synth. Excuse me. So what we've done is each of us have taken that category. We have each gone and done our own research and poured through the millions and millions of movies out there and picked 5 apiece that we're going to put into the random pool. And each of us, we're going to randomly pick from each of our lists. And then for the 4th movie, we're all going to do a little bit of voting, put those movies into a random pool, and we'll randomly pick one of those as well. It's going to be exciting. Ren, why don't you just give me a quick overview of like, Forgive Me, Lord, for I have synth. Like, why did you pick that category? And then why don't you give us your list first?
I've just been itching, and it was a category list that I made a while back when I was going through a deep John Carpenter phase, and I was just kind of just the whole aesthetic, and I was like, you know what? I think I love every single one of these movies. Just the layers, the atmosphere, the synth of it all. It's my thing right now. So I wanted to take you guys along the journey.
We need to have the sounds of the future with a click, sync
Yeah.
to a Moog module.
Yes. Okay. And we've been talking about Daft Punk, and I was like, I think it's time. It just feels right. So, my list. We're gonna start things off with a film from 1981 called Thief, directed by Michael Mann. One of my favorite movies, starring James Caan. It is so cool. And just a little sidebar, the title on the cover that reads Thief is the same font that is used on Daft Punk's albums.
That's sick.
That's where that's the homage to this movie through Daft Punk. So that's what led me to the movie. It is an incredible film. I think you guys are gonna really like it. And if you don't, you suck. But it's really good, great soundtrack, and so that's the first one. The second film that I picked is a movie that came out the same week as Star Wars in 1977, directed by William Friedkin. This movie is called Sorcerer. It is one of the most batshit insane movies that you might grind your teeth. Like, you might lose your teeth by the end of the movie.
This is low key one of those like weird movies that I've had on my list for too long. That I was like, I'll probably never get around to that, so I hope it gets picked.
Yeah, it's wild. You've never seen anything like it. There's one scene in particular that will just leave you just breathless. I watched it with my father-in-law. I'll save that story for if it gets picked. Also stars Roy Scheider. Most people know him from Jaws, all that jazz, but great performance by him. And a bunch of other actors that I don't know, but the movie's insane. The third film is a movie directed by Dario Argento, 1982. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it totally correctly, but it's titled Tenebre. Tenebre. I don't know how to say it. It just looks really violent, bloody, and really cool. It's an Italian, it's an Italian horror film, and it looks so cool. Fourth movie is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this movie, but it's called The Thing. Directed by John Carpenter.
Who's John Carpenter?
I don't know. He's kind of this little indie director. I don't know. He's made a couple films, but 1982.
Two things
this
can be
is a
true at the
masterpiece.
same time.
Yeah, exactly. I've only seen this movie once. I've been wanting to watch it ever since, and it's just a classic horror film. And I'm really excited. And then the fifth one, I've never seen it. I just have heard it mentioned many, many times. From 1985, another William Friedkin film called To Live and Die in L.A. I've never seen it. but I've heard it's incredible.
Good picks. I'm excited for him. Here I'll jump into mine. So this category was really hard for me because it's not my forte. Like I like music, but
stop it. We're talking movies. Just come on.
It's
This is
true,
the
but
vibe.
like literally you said movies with synth in it. I couldn't think of a single one. So it's kind of this was kind of hard for me.
What's a synthesizer?
Right. So I had a list of like 30 movies and I just slowly parsed it down. And I was like, these all sound really interesting and fun to talk about. So I don't think let's see. I actually haven't seen any of these movies that I'm about to list. So that should be fun. We'll start off with a big one though. I actually put this on my list as like my safeguard, just so it's like, okay, I know I have one good movie on my list. I picked Blade Runner, which I believe was on your list originally, and you let it go.
And
I
it
was
was on my list as well, and I swapped it out it just barely hedged it out on purpose. So I'm glad it's on yours.
Yeah, so I put mine on there because it's like, okay, at least I got one movie that is guaranteed to be pretty damn good. The other one I'm going to put up is called Legend. It's got Tim Curry in it. Apparently he plays this big demon, and I was like, it's got Tim Curry in it, so I'm pretty down for this.
Done.
And Tom Cruise.
Literally. That's like, oh yeah, it does have Tom Cruise in it. Yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, that's all I need to know, and I'm down.
Yep.
I also have Dune down here, not the new one, but the 80s one.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of secretly excited about that just because,
dude,
like,
be good,
all of us
dude,
have seen Dune, the new
be,
one.
Be secretly excited. It is disgusting and kind of great.
I'm excited.
Terrible and amazing.
I also actually, speaking of terrible and amazing, I also put down a movie. This one got recommended to me a lot. It's called Lady Hawk, and the reason it's on there is I had 8 people tell me separately, like, you need to watch Lady Hawk because the music does not match the movie in any way. It's the weirdest combination of film and music I've ever seen in my life. So,
I love it.
like,
that was the only movie on the list that Paige was like, "Oh, Lady Hawk."
There you go.
I never heard of it.
My last one on there for my 5th one is a movie called Good Times. It's actually got Robert Pattinson in it, and I don't know much about it, but what people told me, they were like, it's kind of like having an anxiety attack while you watch the whole movie. I was like, that sounds horrible, but if a movie could make me feel that way, then let's do this shit. Like, I'm totally down.
So on my list, starting with the most serious movie, is Giorgio Moroder's soundtrack from A Never-Ending Story.
Yeah, buddy. Bring it.
I figured I'd put one nonsense movie on here for the nostalgic trip. I watched this pretty recently with my kids, and it is, I will never claim it's good, but it is so good.
I don't think I knew that Giorgio Moroder did the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, pretty sick.
That's awesome.
Everybody calls him Giorgio. All right, number 2. This is the one that I kept going back and forth between whether it was going to be Blade Runner or Akira, and I just put Akira on.
Yeah.
Good pick. Good one.
I was listening to the soundtrack for Blade Runner, and then I slapped in Kanada's theme from Akira, and I was like, done.
Yep.
Oh, it slaps so hard. It's so good. And then my John Carpenter entry is Escape from New York. It's between The Thing and Escape from New York. These are the 2 like main Carpenter movies that I'd never seen that I want to. So I hope one of them gets picked, if not both.
So remind me again, is Escape from New York was first and then Escape from LA was second?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. And then my safe pick is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah, buddy.
And this soundtrack is so good. And the movie is so good. And we haven't done a Studio Ghibli film yet. And that's a horrible, horrible sin.
We're only 1 year in.
And then the last movie is It Follows, which I literally know nothing about. I think it might be a horror film in the woods. I actively have avoided knowing anything about it. What I do know about it is that the album is done by Disaster Piece, who did the soundtrack for the video game Hyper Light Drifter, which is one of my favorite games. And part of it is because of the soundtrack. So I know nothing. This sounds incredible. It might be pure nonsense, but hey, whatever. I'm expecting my very naive assumptions are that it's like indie scale horror film with a 70s car, and I'm down for that.
Beautiful.
So we'll see what it actually is.
That fateful moment. I think we'll just go in the
Oh
order
my
that we
God.
read it. So we're gonna start with you, Ren. Okay. Sticky.
Oh.
Send out the energy. Send out the energy. Which one you want? Okay, here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Our first one up. We're gonna be watching Sorcerer. That's gonna be that's your pick from your list, Ren.
I feel like I'm living a dream right now. I knew that you were going to pick that. You can't even hear the excitement in my voice right now, but I'm going to tell you, I am very excited to talk about this movie with you guys. And if you're not a Roy Scheider fan, you will be. So I'm excited.
Wait, is that legal? To not be a Roy Scheider fan?
Apparently, you're either uninformed or it's illegal. Okay.
Right. I gotta figure out the order too when they all came out. So
I'm doing it right now. So
Okay,
Sorcerer is
here,
1977.
you take care of that, and I'll.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Sorcerer is the one we got from Ren's list. We're gonna jump into mine now. I am really unsure of what I actually want to pick up, but I think it's gonna be fun no matter what. So
Yeah.
here we go. We're watching the 1984 version of Dune.
Yeah.
List.
I'm so grossed out in the best way.
Wow.
Okay, guys, I am so stoked. I have watched Dune Part 1 and 2 in the last month, gearing up for the third one. And I started the 1984 Dune, and like 2 minutes into it, I paused it, and I was like, I feel like we're going to watch this for SummerSlam. And here we freaking are. This is nuts.
Dude, okay. I want you to send out the vibes for Scott's list now. Okay.
Well, we're going to have a good month.
Let's see if we can go 3 for 3 here, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Okay, we're going to be randomizing Scott's list here. All right, here we go. 3,
Akira,
2.
calling it.
Oh, man. It's not Akira. It's Never Ending Story, though.
Oh. All right.
What a shift. Okay.
Yeah. We got to have one movie that's whatever.
A little goofy.
Nostalgia.
Yeah,
All right,
nostalgic.
guys.
Not good. Let me say that.
So now we are going to be going into our fourth pick. The way this works for anyone who's joining us today, each of us are going to have 2 votes. One of those votes has to be from your own list, and one of the votes has to be from someone else's list. We're going to put all those votes into a pool. We'll randomly pick from that, and there'll be multiple drawings in there if we all pick the same thing. So why don't you guys percolate which ones you want to be picking from?
I'm ready.
Okay, I think.
Go for it.
All right. I want Akira and The Thing.
All right, let's see. We're going to go.
Damn.
All right, Ren, do you got your picks?
I'm going to do 1 vote for Thief. You guys would love Thief, just saying. A second vote for Akira.
I'm going to go Blade Runner for my own list. It's just a guarantee. I'm going safe on that one. And for my other one, I'm going to go with Nausicaa.
Man.
So we got 2 in for Akira, 1 for
Movie
The
4
Thing.
will be incredible. That's what I'm saying.
It's going to
Yeah.
be great no matter what.
Yeah.
So we have 2 votes for Akira. Then we have 1 vote for The Thing, Thief, Nausicaa, and Blade Runner. Oof. Dude, this is going to be the most fire month ever. We're watching Akira as our 4th one.
Dude.
Sick.
Hell
Dude,
yeah.
this is going to be
Hell
so...
yeah. Okay.
And I love that never-ending story is just like...
I mean,
Poking its
Giorgio
head up.
Moroder on the sound. I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect.
There's so much right about this movie. Like, don't get me wrong. It is not good and it's not nonsense, but there is so much right about this movie. So I'm not sad that it's on this list.
This is gonna be fire, man. Okay, so Ren, so the way we like to do these things after we make these picks is we like to watch these in a release order, starting from the oldest going forward. That way, we might be able to kind of glean maybe some interesting things about kind of the films going on around that time and how it's changed throughout the years. So, why don't you go through our list, Ren, in the order we'll watch them.
I was going to say, what year did Neverending Story come out?
84. As did Dune.
1984. And when did Akira come out? 81.
Whoa, 88. I've
1980.
already got it. Go. I've been on the keyboard this whole time, bro.
That's good. That's
He's
good.
got it set.
Week 1, which I believe is June 3rd, I think, we will be releasing the episode for Sorcerer, 1977.
Yeah.
Week 2 will be Neverending Story. It came out July 20th of 1984. Week 3 will be Dune, which came out December 1984. And week 4, to cap it all, we'll be watching Akira in 1988.
Isn't it
Dude,
funny
what-
that Akira is the newest movie out of this list?
Yeah,
That's pretty
that's so
mind-blowing.
awesome, dude.
Dude, this is gonna be
Wow.
such a sick month. Holy crap.
Wow.
I'm
love
not
this.
sad about any of this. This is
Yeah, no,
this is
fire.
all great.
guys, this is why I keep coming back to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Man, you're one time travel bad category away from leaving us, aren't you?
Every month I'm like, guys, you better pick good movies. Ah, they did.
All right. I try to get out. They keep pulling me back in.
One
That's
more
right.
month. All right,
Just one
last
more
month. All right, well, everybody, make sure you catch a viewing of 1977's Sorcerer. Dude, you guys are going to get your mind blown. It's long. It's like 2.5 hours, so maybe get a head start if you need to. But watch with the sound high and prepare yourself. We'll definitely be shifting gears going into that. I'm excited for June. That's the end of the pod.
That's a wrap on another episode of Cinema Slime. Be sure to watch the next film before next Wednesday. We had a blast and hope you enjoyed it. This episode was a production by your hosts, Harrison Jensen, Ren Jensen, and Scott Shepard. This is a group effort, and seriously, thank you. Thank you for listening and watching us however you found us. We really appreciate it. Help us grow by leaving a comment, a 5-star review, subscribe, and share an episode with another cinema lover. Also, let's connect. Find us on Discord and Letterboxd for film discussions, reviews, and recommendations. Also, check us out on social media. We're always posting clips, film rabbit holes we're going down, and interesting stuff. And you can also show your support by using Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll give you a shout out if you'd like. All links can be found in the episode notes. Goodbye.